Hey guys, it's Brian.
I'm Nate.
And I'm Barry.
And welcome to the Collecti-Bros Podcast. Today's topic, we're going to be covering how to cope with the current collector's market. This can be a dark and dreary subject that we've talked about on this podcast before. However, the goal and objective of this episode is to kind of talk about our personal experiences and our personal ways we deal with the market right now, and then give some newer collectors and maybe people who've been collecting who've gotten burnt out some different ways to look at it, different ways to deal with it. Tips, pointers, if you will, is a good way to put it, I think. My overall goal with this is to be positive. It can be a scary situation, just the way the world is right now and the way the collector's market is, but I promise you guys there's ways around it, and that's what we're going to talk about. So I think first, without spending too much time here, because we've been over it a little bit, just going over the current state of affairs. I know.
Do we want to roll with the lighthearted? What have you been playing first?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Shit.
Just to roll instead of being let's get to the serious topic.
Right, that's a good idea. So let's wipe away some of that doom and gloom and talk about some games that we've been playing and some recent pickups. Nate, what have you been playing?
I'm always playing MLB The Show. I'm always playing 2K. But I have started dabbling in Elder Scrolls Battlespire. Not very far into it. So Elder Scrolls Battlespire is one of the few Elder Scrolls games I don't have any experience on, but they recently released kind of the other, in quotations, Elder Scrolls games on Steam. Yeah, it's notorious for not feeling like an Elder Scrolls game. The full frontal nudity is kind of wild in it.
What style game is this?
Tower. It's like you're starting on the bottom, you kind of work your way towards the top.
It's combat-centric, right?
Yeah, it's not like a normal...
Like a top-down dungeon
RPG.
crawler?
It's first-person.
First-person dungeon
Elder
crawler?
Scrolls. It's basically like placeholder for Morrowind.
So like if Elder Scrolls and Diablo, reverse Diablo...
Imagine like way shittier quality. It's not Diablo. It's very like driven. It's not open at all. It's like randomly generated for the floors, but like you have to go talk to people and stuff, kind of like a normal Elder Scrolls game, but like the dialogue's so off. It's like if... it's like vulgar language and stuff in it. It's so weird of a game. And
it's like a spin-off game, and they probably just like tagged Elder Scrolls on there to get sales and whatnot.
It's bizarre. I'm not going to stand and say it's great, but it's definitely worth experiencing if you're a fan of the series, because you're like, what the fuck were they thinking? There's like some really weird language, and like it's so odd. It's hard to describe. So yeah, it's a unique experience. I think if you're an Elder Scrolls fan, it's definitely worth checking out a little bit. It's not going to win any awards. And then as far as pickups, I've been pretty fortunate lately. I acquired a World Series Baseball 95 on Genesis in a paper box for, I think it was $2. I even had a Goodwill find, which is extremely rare at this point, but I got a complete Wii Fit U balance board with the box and the tracker. Don't have a Wii U yet, but it was $12.99, I believe, complete. So I went ahead and picked that up. I didn't even know there was a Wii U Wii Fit, so it's kind of an interesting little piece. Then the big one, Barry actually hooked me up with a Daikatana on N64 complete in box for a pretty incredible deal. So
It's in really nice shape too.
Eternally grateful to have Barry as a friend for hooking up and to own that game, because it's not very common to say the least. So
I never heard of it until you pointed it out.
It's one of the few N64 games I was actively looking for. I was hoping to get a cart someday. I never really expected to get a complete in box one for this price, so I am very grateful for that, because it's been surging lately.
The store it was at, it's been there for a long time. Every time we go there, Nate was like, I'll come back and pick it up if it's still here next paycheck. I'll come back and pick it up if it's still here. And it's been for months. It's been sitting there. And then I saw the current going price of it, and I said, whoa, we need to go back and pick it up right now. So I'm glad we were able. I'm glad it was still there for the low price it was at, because I didn't want you to miss out on that opportunity.
I am very stoked for it, and all of its infamy, notorious, the notoriety and the legacy that game has left behind, and the sour taste in people's mouths. I'm really excited to experience it firsthand, so love my shitty games.
It's a good one. It's Blockbuster exclusive on the 64, right? Pretty sure it was.
Really?
I think it's why it's so uncommon to find a complete in box.
Remember, it had a
copy
Blockbuster sticker on the back.
Wow.
So that's a thing. You don't see, like, I've seen the cartridge, an expensive cartridge, but the complete box copy, that's something.
Like $150, bro.
Bro,
it's so
something.
expensive.
Having a complete box copy is something.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I even more want it now. So
Yeah.
I'm glad, very grateful to own that. Thank you. Brian, how about you? What do you have as far as playing and picking up?
I actually got back into the Division 2 just off of a whim.
I'm playing that too. I totally forgot I'm playing it with you.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but it's all right. So it's been fun, though. It's a good co-op looter shooter. They've retooled it quite a bit since I initially played it. We were discussing, so my girlfriend and I used to play it with Nate and a friend of ours. And something came out between that game where we just kind of stopped playing it. I don't remember what it was because I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed the first one a little bit more just because of the builds were more in line with most looter shooters. But jumping back into it, they've done a really good job of like rebalancing it. They've added like 7-player raids, which are pretty fun. So yeah, we're just going through the story right now, catching up, and then I'm pretty excited to play the expansion for it. It's been good just to like set brain neutral and shoot things, you know. As far as pickups, some original Xbox games of note. I got a really good deal on Breakdown, which I thought I already had, and apparently I didn't. It's the first person. It's a first person like action game, but the thing of note's like the hand-to-hand combat in it. It's like a first person fighting game almost in some parts, so it's pretty unique, exclusive to the original Xbox title. Picked up for like $5 complete. It's like a $20-$25 game, so pretty good find at a flea market. And then the one that I was pretty excited about was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. I don't see it. It's the first time I've seen it in person. So now I have all the Turtles games on the original Xbox. I'm pretty stoked for that. I think that's all the stuff of note. What's up, Nate?
I had another pickup. It's kind of crazy that I forgot about. I finally acquired a Platinum Hits 50 Cent Bulletproof.
Ah, yes.
That one has been elusive. So I'm talking 6-7 years ago. I actually found a Canadian retailer. No picture, had it listed for like $9.99. It said Platinum Hits in parentheses. It's like, I'm going to bite the bullet. I don't know what I'm getting, but I'm going to order it. And it was like my shipping ended up being more than I actually paid for the game. I think I ended up spending like $25 back then. So waiting in the mail for like over a month. Finally get it. It's in the Platinum Hits case, so I'm hype. Open it. It's a normal damn disc.
Was the booklets the same in both versions too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been searching for a Platinum Hits disc, a 50 Cent Bulletproof forever. It's a very hard variant to find for the Platinum Hits Xbox line. There's a lot of people that say it is exclusive to the Canada region. That's why you don't see them pop up.
Well, didn't you get the disc from Canada too?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
The seller was in Canada.
But I paid for it, but I'm really happy to have one, and it's kind of been evading me for a very long time at this point, so still need the biggest Platinum Hits there is, but very grateful to have 50 Cent finally off the list.
Now, is that one that has French on it as well, on the box art?
It doesn't, weirdly. So Warrior Within, Prince of Persia games, the other Platinum Hits, that's Canada exclusive, and it does have French, and the manual's it's thicker because it's got a French manual and a English manual, but 50 Cent doesn't. Huh. Don't know why.
I was going to say really quick, just because it's fun. I don't encourage this, but during my work trainings through Teams meetings, I've been dabbling in black desert fishing because that's what I do.
It's the wrong one to fish in.
Hey, but there's achievements. Of note, I get 2-hour training session through Teams meetings, and I'm fishing on black desert, and I am now tied for 5th in the world for rank.
Bruh.
What if your
Master level 5?
What if someone from your work listens to this and be like, Brian's video game fishing while he's supposed to be in meetings?
It's a lot of Brians out there. There's a lot of Brians that are video game nerds out there. That's the thing. So people know I'm a nerd at work. They don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Like, just make black desert fishing your job, and that solves every problem we have in this conversation.
I mean, hey, it's an economy-driven game, and I'm just saying I'm quite the imperial fisherman, I do have to say. I don't want to brag.
Is there a marketplace and you can sell the fish on it?
Oh, yeah. Can
you go on an extreme fishing boat with dolphins?
Not dolphins. I don't think there's dolphins. It's not Final Fantasy. We'll get there someday, Barry. Speaking of, what have you been playing? Segue.
I tried to start Pokemon Sword. I even forgot because I haven't been playing it so much. I stopped playing Pokemon a long time ago. I never had a DS, so I'm not caught up. And the new game's coming out. I'm like, I guess I should know what some of these Pokemon are called. So I'm not gonna beat the bush and telling you guys what Pokemon is because everybody knows what Pokemon is. And then I was trying to find something else to play. I just wasn't feeling anything. And then I just had the urge to return to Final Fantasy 14, and I'm sucked in. I think it's been 3 or 4 weeks since I started playing it again, or I don't know. I stopped playing about 4 years ago at the end of Stormblood. Interestingly enough, Final Fantasy 14, when it first came out, was horrible. The game did not do very well, did not sell very well. It was really like a black stain on Square Enix's face, especially like after naming Final Fantasy XI as like a mainline title. A lot of people were upset. They're like, you can't name a mainline title as an MMO. So they did it again with 14 and just left a bad taste in people's mouths. It was not great. So that's when Yoshi P took over and they were like, please save this game. And that's what he's known for now, is basically saving Final Fantasy XIV. So it's called A Realm Reborn because what they did was they nuked the original game. There was this huge event that happened, and there's YouTube videos on it if you can watch it. The history is super, super interesting. But there was a countdown to the servers like finally shutting down, and what they would do is they just released mobs and mobs and mobs of monsters, like attacking cities. Just monsters constantly this whole time, and there's like this giant meteor coming down from the sky, and it's like slowly coming down to like decimate the realm, essentially. Like at the end of the countdown, it was going to hit, and like the servers went dark. I think that was really, really cool. So when they rebooted the game into A Realm Reborn, they actually took all of that and put it into the lore.
That's awesome.
And it's super interesting that they put it in there. You can do some research. It's very cool. Anyways, so that's why it's called A Realm Reborn, if you didn't know. This is the second inception of the game, and by all accounts, extremely, extremely successful. Realm Reborn was the main game. Heaven's Ward was the first expansion, and I believe that you can play the game for free up through the end of Heaven's Ward. So if you don't want to pay the subscription, you want to try it out, you can download the free trial and play all the way through the main story and Heaven's Ward. And the main game and each expansion are about the size of a normal Final Fantasy game, so there's a lot of content. But if you're curious, that's the best way to try it, and then you can, at that point, upgrade, and then roll your character over to the next one, so.
I'll be playing with you soon. Pretty excited, actually.
Oh yeah? You finally gonna do it?
Yeah, we talked about it. I've had a few things pop up recently, but I want to make sure I'll be able to sit down and actually like, play it. So I'm pretty amped for it. I'm not huge at MMOs, but it's one that's caught my eye for sure, so.
See, I like good MMOs. I unfortunately don't have a gaming PC up to par. My newest gaming PC is my
It's on
Windows
PlayStation
95.
4 and
I've
5.
got it on PlayStation 4.
It's a PS5 texture upgrade, too.
Is there?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's crossplay, right?
Yep.
I'll play with you guys. The fishing sounds
Fishing
amazing.
trip.
Yeah, the fishing sounds amazing.
Yeah, the only difficult thing, and I used to play it on PlayStation 4, I switched to PC, the only difficult thing is just managing Discord. Because I would have to put earbuds in, and then hook that up to my phone, and then use Discord on my phone, and then put my over-ear headset over that
Damn.
to get the audio in the game, and then I had to hook up a Bluetooth controller or a Bluetooth keyboard to my PlayStation so I could actually type.
Right.
So
They have Discord on PlayStation now, though, right?
I don't think so.
Shit.
They're still working on it.
We'll figure it out.
We're gonna acquire them. Then they kind of just did a partnership. I don't. It's a weird thing, but I know they're like working on something.
I'm not sure.
We'll figure it out.
I have my Discord linked to my PlayStation account, and it'll show when I'm playing things on PlayStation on my Discord. But that is the most difficult thing about this game, is there is no in-game voice chat. So you're kind of limited to a text chat like a normal MMO. But that was when I bought the PC version. I was just so sick and tired of having that set up on console. I was like, I can't do this. So this has streamlined it extremely well for me. So I haven't played for so long, and like I'm in that content where like I kind of need to know. I play as a tank, and I kind of need to know what I'm doing. So I've been kind of slowly going into it. I haven't touched crafting, so I started crafting. That's what I've been doing.
What about pickups?
Nothing.
Oh, you got a good score. One of my favorite games of all time.
I have been looking for Spider-Man on PS1 for a long time, and I did finally get one. I refused to buy it for $40. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I got it for like $25. So, that one, and then I got Fragrant Story, not Vagrant, Fragrant, on the 3DS. One of the last 3DS games to be printed. IGN put up an article about it, and I didn't know about it, and so I went to their website, and it's just this super, super, super small developer. I think it was one guy, and maybe a couple others. So I was like, sure, I'll buy it. It's in like it's got a scratch and sniff, and each one was different. Like you didn't know what scratch and sniff your box was going to be, and it came with a little bit of extras. It was like $40. I'm like, okay, like take my $40. You know, indie studios putting physical stuff out themselves like never happens. So I was totally fine with buying that. super cool to have. It looks kind of odd in the collection though.
It
Sticks out.
Smells kind of odd.
Though. It's a quality.
It is really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice set. I was pretty impressed with it.
But yeah, other than that, nothing like Daikatana.
Yeah, we all can't have those kind of scores, but
No.
hey, it's always cool to add games you're actively looking for and unique items to your collection. So that's cool. I can't praise Spider-Man enough. I have such a attachment to that game because of my childhood and Spider-Man in general. But that'll probably be a future episode, honestly.
I thought Spider-Man was the one I played as a kid. I think it was 2.
Electro.
Yeah.
They're both great.
I think that one is the one I played.
Me and Brian put an obscene amount of time into the first one.
Yeah, I think I still have my childhood save on my memory card too, with all my unlocks and everything.
Because you were like, "Oh, it's got Venom," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's got Electro."
Yeah, that's the second one.
But I like in my brain, my kid brain remembers the first one is the cover. It was I don't know. I guess I'm looking for the second one now.
Yeah, that might be a future episode. I love that game.
But yeah, can't buy too many games when you're sucked into Final Fantasy 14, I suppose. You know.
All right, so now we get to the doomy gloomy little bit before we twist it back into positivity.
It's not doomy gloomy.
It doesn't have to be. It's just, man.
Frustrating at times.
Right. There's times I miss the good old days. But I know we'll just gloss over this because I know we've talked about it on this podcast before, and really we've had this conversation in person and in text quite a bit. But I think...
I'm sure everyone else has had this conversation too, so you'll know what we're talking about.
Right. But Barry, you brought up a good point in the past on this podcast. A big contributing factor of why the market is the way it is today. You just want to go over that really quick?
I mean, COVID, everyone's sitting at home trying to make their own money. Stuff goes up in price. People get stimulus checks, at least in the U.S. Other places are getting stimulus checks too. Now we're in inflation. You know, Bitcoin didn't help. WADA didn't help.
Sprinkle some WADA in there.
You know, I have my own opinions about that, so I don't really know what the truth is on that situation. But I know a lot of Bitcoin people invested into video game collectibles as a investment fund. Not necessarily about collecting games, but they saw it as a up and coming volatile market they can make quick cash off of. So I know a lot of Bitcoin people came into that as well.
Much like everything we hold dear and love, people got to get money involved making it, attempting to make money off of it. But I think, it's definitely the biggest contributing factor to the modern market. And even to the degree a little bit, I think just the internet and accessibility to be able to buy these games in general. eBay becoming as big as it is. I mean, we've talked about it previously with Godzilla. I remember going to conventions and, getting import games for $30 and being like, oh my God, I'm paying $30 for an import game. But now it's like, hey, you go on eBay and grab it. And yeah, the import stuff might be a little cheaper, but I think the first thought for a lot of these, retro game stores is you go on eBay and see how much it's worth.
Well, I mean, Goodwill's doing it.
Right.
Goodwill has their own, and that's, Nate brought that up too. Like, we don't find Goodwill finds anymore because Goodwill has their own Goodwill auction site. And they will take those high dollar items and put them up as an auction instead of just putting them back into the store. So Goodwill's even doing it.
I've seen people post on Reddit that work at Goodwill's that they get written up. They don't set all the video games aside for like a manager to look up.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
This is like, obviously Goodwill's very regional, so every region might be different, but
yeah, I am not a big fan of Goodwill for vast many reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's a big one for me.
There is a little bit of the contributing factor, just nostalgia. A lot of the things we grew up with, we can afford now that we have our careers and we want these items, and people that have these items and they're wanting to make a profit off them know we want them. So they're going to charge you. I think it's that simple sometimes. So now that we have a brief overview of the market, I think we can go around the tables and just kind of talk how the market's personally affected us, and then any kind of positivity or any kind of tips and tricks to navigate the market. We'll start with you, Nate. What are some ways that this has personally affected your collecting habits? And also, if you want to just kind of free flow into what are some tips and tricks to navigate this mess?
I've bought a lot less consoles in like the last couple of years, and I was going for consoles pretty aggressively there, but consoles are so crazy expensive now. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, well, I'm going to focus more on software than hardware, and which has helped build up my library a little bit, but there's games that have always been on my radar where it's like a $40 game a couple of years ago. And it's like, this is a $200 game now. So I'm like, I've noticed before this current market, I was very free-spirited and not as quite focused on what I'm going for. I just would come across stuff I like and buy it. I'm a lot more selective now, which has never been my style, but you have to be. So it's like I made a concentrated effort. I'm getting these Fantasy Star games before they even go even crazier. It's like an example. There's stuff I would just kind of wait to fall into my lap now where I had to almost plan my game hunting around.
Like what's the next big thing you're going for?
Yeah.
Like goals.
It's almost like forecasting in a way where I'm like, well, there's movie news on this. This is about to go up and I better go look for this now before it pops off even more. Or they're remaking this. Like, it's weird where it used to be like, that would just be exciting news to me in the past. Now I'm almost like, damn it, this is going to affect other shit.
Yeah, that is a really frustrating thing, especially like everybody who's a comic collector understands this too, especially right now. Like, it is very frustrating to have to try and keep up with, oh, this person just got the rights to this, or this studio just got the option, or we're getting a remake of this, and so many things are happening in the media that it brings interest to old things. And then you have to gauge, like, how is that going to affect? Am I going to get FOMO? Am I going to regret not buying this now? Like, those are hard questions.
Like, real talk, when they announced an Obi-Wan TV show, and it's like, oh, I know there's an original Xbox game of Obi-Wan. Is this really going to go up to a $20 effing game because there's a TV show and you can watch this price creep up? And you're like, this game's not well remembered, but because it says Obi-Wan on it, people are going to go out and raise the price. It's frustrating. It's exhausting. So that's some personal experience for myself where it's like, it's almost like weather forecasting, where sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. It's kind of, you have to almost follow more than just, I want to collect video games. It's like, damn, like, I'm bombarded with all this news and I should be excited. And I'm like frustrated because I'm over here instead of focusing on the actual announcement. Like, what else is this going to affect? It's very disheartening.
I can totally relate. I mean, there was a good while there where games were getting crazy and I was burnt out. I think both of you guys remember this time period. It wasn't that long ago where I was like, I'm going for action figures. Like, I always buy action figures, right? But I stopped going for some of the bigger games I wanted just because I'm like, this is ridiculous. Hopefully this bubble burst. And then the action figure market went to crap, but that's a totally another conversation. But it's a way to navigate this, right? The best example I can use is if you love something and you start getting frustrated by it, is it really the thing that you love that's frustrating you? Is it outside sources, right? Is it these people trying to make a buck that are influencing the price of it? And the best way to avoid that kind of stuff with scalpers and all that is don't buy it from them. I think that's the easiest way. But the problem is there's people out there that do, and that's why people keep trying it.
I mean, I'm not so concerned about scalpers at this point. I think they just took an opportunity of a door was open and they took it. So we didn't really have this issue beforehand until the shipping got so, like, the world transportation got absolutely wrecked. Things were months and months and months, years behind. People be ordered t-shirt designs from a company overseas and would have to wait a year and have to get it. It was very, 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 very little supply because it was trickling through. So people saw that as, oh, I'm here. I have an opportunity that trickles through. There's a huge demand. I have the supply and I'm going to go throw that up online because all my job laid me off and I have to find some way to make money. So, I mean, like, honestly, I'm not too concerned about quote unquote scalpers. I don't think it's as prevalent as people want to cry about, to be honest. I mean,
I think less so in the video game market.
I don't know. Then there's just annoying shit. Like, Brian and I went to a gas station before we got here to record this, and we can't find the Mango Mountain Dew because there's people posting pics about scalping cases.
I mean, ramen noodles are at a limit right now.
Yeah.
That's just, we're still in that, where if you guys are concerned about scalpers taking all of the supply, they're not taking all of the supply. They're taking the very, very limited supply that we're even getting.
Great point.
Everything else is still stuck out there. All right, we're finally getting some stuff that we should have got. Michael's, for instance, they ordered Christmas stuff and didn't get it until like May. That is very, very far behind. So they instantaneously had to, clearance it out because they're like, it's the springtime. It's not Christmas time, So that's where we're at. We haven't recovered from shipping. It will go back to normal. It's going to take a long time for the supply, but like, there's no shortage of printing.
Look at Pokemon. Pokemon, 2 years ago, they were selling 2 years worth of Pokemon. 2 years ago, they were selling 2 years worth of Pokemon.
Like, there's no shortage of printing.
cards.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There was a drought where the market went insane because you couldn't find it. Now they literally have stuff hiding in like normal sections of the whatever department store you go to.
Stores are bloated.
Literally, me and Brian were at Target and there's stuff hiding in like the bedroom section because they just don't have enough shelving for it because there's so much product now.
And that's also an overcompensation. Like, so maybe early on in the whole COVID pandemic thing, I feel like that article about the Blastoise graded cards selling for like multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. I remember that everybody freaked out and they were like, Pokemon cards are worth that much money? No, Pokemon cards are not worth that much money. Your Pokemon cards in the garage are not worth that much money. Okay, this is a graded piece. The grade, you know. So now, because people don't understand how the grading system works, because the grading system's
flawed,
a whole episode in of itself. But they're just imagining all of their old Pokemon cards, like Caterpie's, worth 10 grand.
Yeah,
I don't know. So it just kind of created this like holy crap moment, and they just went and sucked all the stores dry of all the stock in the middle of them not being able to restock, and then it created a shortened supply and an extremely high demand.
Yep.
And now here we are recovered from the supply problem, and you guys are getting your Shining Fates ETBs that y'all were selling for like $150 8 months ago. They're here. There's copious amounts of them.
So
just wait.
Tip number 1, patience.
Yes.
Yep. I can say that with a fact.
Especially with stuff that they're currently manufacturing.
The rate they manufacture pretty much anything now is like, there's so much more. Like, these properties are world renowned. Like, you're not going to miss out on a set of Pokemon cards, dude. Like, they're so popular. And most of these games are so high print now, too, even. Like, video games are huge. There's nothing on a current system that... The collector's editions, that's a whole other topic, but...
With the exception of, like, Limited Run and what's the other one?
Strictly Limited
Strictly Limited, something like that,
I'm talking, you're not... If your store didn't get a copy of... Let's just use Madden for an example, because it's funny go-to. But, like, you can wait a week. You'll get a Madden. Like, there's not a shortage for stuff. I remember, like, there was games that were... People were feeling like they had to pre-order stuff to like assure their place into getting it.
Yeah, I can say during pandemic era, games was a thing. I remember, and the one that sticks in my head for Xbox One was I have no idea how to pronounce it. The Warhammer, the first-person shooter Warhammer game.
Oh, the one that you guys told me was super limited, and I see it everywhere.
Right, that's a great example. Though, hang on, what's this thing called?
Well, while you guys are looking that up, this is the same type of example as like when Zelda, oh my god, Zelda Breath of the Wild came out for the first time for the Switch. The demand was so high, and the supply wasn't limited, but they just hadn't gotten enough printed to keep up with how much people wanted. So there's people like, I had to go through 4 Best Buys to even find a single copy. Look how many copies of that are out there. There's a lot. They recovered. They printed more. That's just how the market is. They print them in batches, and when they run out, they're going to order another batch, and they keep pulling that puppy out until they make their money off of it. But like, that's a different where that was a true demand for that game. They just couldn't keep up with that huge demand. That's a little bit different than you being like, hey, this is limited, and it really isn't quite yet. So.
Right. So the specific title was Warhammer Necromunda Hired Gun, which is a first-person shooter Warhammer game. It got reviewed great. It's supposed to be very similar to Doom Eternal. I remember you could find the PS4 version everywhere, and for some reason, probably lower print run, I assume, since it's Xbox, couldn't find this thing. I remember just going to a GameStop and seeing it one day and be like, I'm going to buy it now. Like, can't find this damn thing. Like, Nate, pick it up. And now we literally see it everywhere.
Well, that's what's funny to me about Xbox is like, that's why Limited Run's now doing Xbox games. Was it one of you two that brought that up?
Yeah, they finally lifted their print quality or quantity limit.
Yeah, like Microsoft did not let you put a game out unless you printed X amount of quantities. It wasn't like print as many or little as you want. They were like, you have to make this minimum, and if you don't, it better be digital.
Thank you, Phil.
And that's why Xbox One library is not as expensive as some of the PlayStation 4 ones. Mm-hmm. So,
the biggest takeaway from that is just patience, guys. Just have some patience. I know sometimes it's easier than others. That can lead into the whole FOMO conversation, right? The games, I feel like, are a different breed. We did talk about how they're going to release them in waves and things like that. It's not like, your other collectibles like action figures. They're still pretty scarce. If I see an action figure, I treat it completely different than a game. Like, if I don't have it, I'm going after it, and it's retail, I'm buying it then and there. I don't know if it's, manufacturing or if it's... I know Target specifically, I was reading an article for Marvel Legends. Is something I very much collect. It's like my go-to for action figures. They got burnt. They ordered way too many Eternals that sat on the shelf for too
there's
long.
So many.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can get them for clearance, literally $3, $4 at retail. It's insane. But they didn't order any of or a small amount of the Thor, Love, and Thunder figures. So people, when they see them, are posting them like, here they are, grab them now. And you drive there, they're gone. So they don't order, even the Target closest to us, they don't have any Marvel Legends right now. If you look at the SKU placement, there's no shelf space for Marvel Legends. And it's kind of the inverse of the problem, right? Instead of people snatching up these Eternals figures, nobody bought them. But I don't feel like we have that with video games. Some of these retail stores, like I noticed Target specifically, again, for the newer store designs, they've shrunk down their physical media section, which is kind of interesting.
I mean, do you guys remember how many games Meyer would have?
Oh, yeah. Now they have
It's
none.
non-existent.
Like Meyer used to be kind of a secret little honey hole where you'd go find,
the sales?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember getting an NES Classic at Meyer because no one else thought to go look at Meyer for some reason. But now it's like, they wouldn't have that.
No.
I know for a while there when the PS5 first came out, that was like the sweet spot for PS5s was Meyer over here. It's weird how it's like an inverse issue where it's like a lot of these, even Best Buy, look at Best Buy used to have a huge Switch section.
I believe the reason for that is they're converting more to their own online store, like e-commerce.
Makes sense. It's more profitable from a business to do that.
So, I mean, if you go into a Best Buy and look at their selection, it is not what you can pull up on your app instantaneously.
Yep.
So I think they're just downsizing in terms of physical, but not limiting what you can buy. I think they're still ordering it. They're just storing it away for more of an online sale experience.
Saves them shipping, saves them staffing.
It's smarter
saves them
for them.
leasing space.
Yeah, it's smarter from a business standpoint. You don't have all this inventory just literally sitting around. You can move it. You can rearrange the shelf as necessary. Because in retail, shelf space is king. If you have 20 copies of one game sitting there versus you have 3, plus I watched this documentary. There's a super fascinating about like the way these stores lay out things that tricks people into buying it. And that's one example they use.
Oh, it's a whole science.
Yeah, you see 3 on the shelf. You're like, oh shit, these are going to go. I better buy it now. And I've fallen victim to that. I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all. It is interesting that the market, whether it's collector's market or just retail market's kind of been affected by this madness. Yeah,
I just piggybacking off FOMO, I would say like pro tip number 2, if we're sitting here numbering stuff, like don't fall victim to that. It's very easy to do. It's especially now, like when people have been facing hard times, like something that can excite you, you're going to gravitate towards, kind of get your mind off of video games. I feel like 100% take that box. Don't buy something because you think you're going to miss out on it, because there's so many opportunities to buy things secondhand now. Like you will get one eventually. I think it's foolish, in my opinion, you're creating that hype for yourself and others to fall victim to. Let's say you're going to sit here and shake your fist and blame it on scalpers. Well, if you don't buy from the scalpers are going to stop scalping stuff. If you think that's the issue, don't succumb to it. If you're getting frustrated, the fact you didn't get something day one, find something positive to fill that time with until you get to that, and it will be rewarding. You'll think of the positive experience you had with this game instead of how many times you've missed out or passed over it, you know? If you're getting frustrated at something, like you got to really examine, is your hobby really healthy for you?
I think it's a good point. Like I said earlier, I got frustrated with video games. It doesn't mean I don't love them anymore. Like it's still one of my biggest passions. But you find ways to enjoy that hobby still without being frustrated by the things that do frustrate you. Find new ways to enjoy it. For example, like this podcast for me, it's super helpful. I still stay connected to the games. And yeah, I've gotten better with it, kind of adapted. But for a while there, I wasn't buying any games. I was just like, this is ridiculous. This is dumb. And every once in a while, you'd find a good deal, but that good deal would, re-spark my passion for it. It doesn't have to be buying or playing or whatever. A really good example for me is when I had my retail store. It was primarily a comics and collectible store, but it was primarily comics. I haven't bought a comic since then, and it might have just been because, lost the business. But I found another hobby. And I fished as a kid, but as an adult, it's something I enjoy quite a bit more and spent quite a bit more time with. But like to be able to combine that with another one of my hobbies, video games, like I just started randomly grabbing fishing games, and it's like a fun way to keep collecting. So there's a couple of benefits to it, right? there isn't ton of expensive fishing games, so there's definitely some, but overall it's like, all right, this is something weird that I can collect that ties two of my hobbies together, and it's a good way to get games for consoles I usually don't collect for, because there's fishing games that go all the way back to the Atari. So it's something fun that I found a way to combine two of my hobbies together to enjoy. You've got to be creative and find ways to connect the things you love together. And I think that's an easy one. It doesn't have to be, obviously fishing's not for everybody. I just use that as a personal example that I can share with you guys that everybody can use. Get creative.
Just to kind of piggyback off that point, people act like finding deals is impossible. It's more difficult than it used to be because everyone's got supercomputers in their pockets, can look up eBay. Everyone thinks they have a small fortune in their hand, but you can still find deals. Like, they're still out there. Don't expect to find a deal every time you go out or you will burn yourself out. You have to remain grounded. Where just because 10 years ago you found NES games for $3, don't expect to go find $3 NES games anymore. It's not realistic, and that's okay. You are going to find a deal that's going to make you that happy again if you're patient. If you don't expect to find a deal every time. And I would encourage people to find friends to game hunt with. There's days where us three have hung out at game hunt. We all struck out, but we had a blast hanging out with each other. Make that your memory instead of we all got burnt, we didn't find shit. We have funny stories like, I don't know, Brian belching or something while we're driving and making us all laugh. Like, we don't think about that we didn't get a game without, we get to spend time together and look for something, the adventure of it.
Yeah, I do want to mention this. This is not for rich people, okay? Us as a collective, we are lower middle class individuals. We do not have money in stocks. We do not have money we don't own Bitcoin. We don't own cryptocurrency. We don't watch the stock market.
We're not sitting on a ton of liquid assets is the thing.
I don't make six figures. Like, we are lower to mid-class individuals. This advice is not for the rich person who can go out there and just be like, oh, $1,500 game, chump change. I don't really care. They're over there looking at stuff that's $20K. All right, this ain't for y'all. So take that with a grain of salt. Like, there are people who can afford games and do not even consider the price. And they're just like, oh, my time is worth more than going to try and find a good deal. I'll just spend the more money to get it now. All right, that's fine. They can go do that. Some people are not financially able to do that. So this advice is kind of more towards those people.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Like, we're all human here. I have a mortgage. I have a car payment. Now, would I love to be able to have no responsibilities and just drop Benjis on games? Yeah, but realistic outlook here.
Did you want to keep going?
Oh, go ahead.
One thing I did want to mention was, and I put it in the notes too, but especially for those kinds of people, I guess, who like, we can't just go out and be like, I just want to buy a Panzer Dragoon Saga. You just buy it. Like, that's not going to happen. All right, I got stuff to pay for that's more important. And like, I love collecting and it's a great hobby, but I can't just go out and spend $2,000 willy-nilly, not even to mention like stadium events, whatever. Like, I'm never going to own a stadium event. I'm going to have no money for that. Like, the most expensive game that I want is probably $2,000 at this point, maybe. Like, I'm not going out there finding prototypes. I don't care. Don't compare your collection to other people. What you collect is for you. And if anybody ever makes you feel bad about what you collect or how you collect or what you choose to collect, you need to get away from them.
I cannot agree more with that. If you don't listen to anything else on this episode, I think that's like the one.
Number 3. That's a good one, Barry.
I've actually been kind of just dipping my toes into some other podcasts, and there's a couple that I really enjoy. They're just people like talking about video games, and I was like, let me check out some others. I'm not going to at them, but there was a podcast I listened to where these people just basically explained all of the people that they hate in the collecting market. And like, I have never heard someone say, if you want to play the games you buy, then you're a joke and you should probably not have that goal. It was just so like,
how pretentious.
At first I was like, and I'm not going to at anybody, but like, these are people who, I don't know why their reasons, but they're set collectors. They have money in stocks and freely want to talk about that, which is totally fine. And that's what they want to do. And they're like, I have no intention of playing any of these games I'm buying. but they're basically like, oh yeah, if you're a collector and you say that you only buy games that you play, because like me, you guys are a little different than me. Like I will not buy a game unless I intend to play it or I would like to play it. So to hear someone be like, oh yeah, if you intend to play all the games that you buy, like you literally have it, that's a joke. Stop lying to yourself. And I'm like, what? And at first I'm like, I felt bad. You know, I was like, I felt bad for being that kind of person. And then I was like, why do I feel bad? Like no, I collect for what I want to collect for. So
that's why it's your collection.
It's
that's
my
why
collection.
It's different than mine. That's why it's different than Nate's.
All right, I have my opinions about set collectors who never play anything, but like that's my own opinions, and I'm gonna keep them to myself. And that's what you want to do. That's what you can do. It's not what I want to do for collecting, but I'm also not gonna sit here and put other people down for wanting to buy fishing games or wanting to buy sports. I don't enjoy sports games. I don't understand why people like sports games, but I'm not gonna be like, Nate, stop playing baseball.
Unless it gets in the way of Final Fantasy 14.
I do in a joking way, but like, you know what I mean.
Yeah, it'd be weird if you're never joking with me in that way. But
right.
Yeah, no, dead serious. Keep in mind why you're collecting and what it's for. It's for you and your enjoyment.
There's so many people out there with different financial situations, and some people are very extremely genuine about it. And like, yeah, they may have huge collections, but they're not dickheads.
Yeah.
And they're very informative. They're very open, and don't get stuck in the trap of comparing what you own to those people that you see on YouTube. I love watching people's collection videos as long as they're not assholes about it. Then that's a point. Like if you do enjoy a content creator and they start to kind of feel weird and you're like, I don't know, they sound pretentious, or I don't know, they sound like they're just trying to show off and be like, I have big money ticket items. Like, you should probably get away from them and find a community who just wants to talk about similar things. Like I have a Chrono Trigger. It's expensive, I suppose, but it's not like a, sculptor's cut in the box. And even if I had a sculptor's cut in the box, I'd probably mention it and be like, because it's really cool, but like, I'm not going to sit here and try and flex a collection to anybody, because like, I know there's somebody out there bigger than mine.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or even like for me, example, like I'm humbled, literally, the fact that I own Jack Bros. Like I'm humbled by it. Like I didn't think I would. I don't want to ever put someone down with that. Like this is a hobby that I feel like there is a community behind it, and I don't want to be a negative part of that. And don't let people that don't feel the same way about it affect you. Like, you collect what you love for a reason. I guarantee you it's a very small subset of people who collect these fishing games like me, but shit on me all you want. I don't care. I enjoy it. Like, it's combining two of my hobbies.
Don't try to keep up with the Joneses with your collection. It's just, again, remember why you're collecting. Even if you're someone like me where I'm something in the middle of Brian and Barrick, I know I'm not going to play everything. I would like to play everything I own. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I'm something in the middle. I'm feel conflicted in my collecting. I know why I collect video games, though. I love playing them. They make me happy. I like preserving the history of them. I'm not posting it and showing off. Like, grateful to have everything I own. I've worked hard in my life to get to the point where I can buy video games sometimes. I'm not trying to impress anybody. It's very easy. Like 30 years from now, when I'm even older than I already am, I'll know exactly why I still have video games on my shelf, because they mean something to me. I'm not trying to make them mean something to you. Right? Like, Barry, I don't care if you don't ever want to come over and play, oh hell, I don't know, MLB The Show. I know you have no interest in playing it.
No, I have none.
Like, here's the thing. Like, I can sit here and talk about it almost every week, and you're like, cool, man, I'm happy for you. You know? If you're like, Nate, shut the fuck up, I don't care, fuck you, you're an idiot, you're not a real video game collector, I'd be like, well, go fuck yourself, but you're not like that. So
yeah, and there's people out there who are like, if you collect sports games, and like, you are not a game collector.
You're part of the problem. Like, what problem here, bud?
Yeah,
Brian touched on it. I love sports. I'm a huge sports guy, and people putting other people down. Like, I've unfortunately came across some threads where a 14-year-old kid, so
internet's dangerous,
does not have a job. This is a 14-year-old kid probably cutting grass and stuff to build, and it's a very humble collection. It's very small. It might have a couple new games, but it's mostly like your Call of Duties and Maddens. This kid's just trying to be engaged with a video game collecting community, and people are in there just shitting on him. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, you're hurting the future of someone that wants to be a part of it should be a friendly community. I know video games are made way more mainstream now than they used to be, but like, we should celebrate the differences. And one of the reasons why I love doing this podcast is we all are kind of different with our collecting and stuff. I really enjoy coming over and looking at Barry's shelf and be like, damn, I've never seen this. This is super cool. And Barry's like, well, I've had it because I thought it looked cool and I picked it up as my type of game. or I think we've all introduced each other to stuff that we would have never played before doing this podcast. So
Right.
it's awesome. Like, why are we going to shun something? We should celebrate that fact.
Right. And specifically speaking for collecting, relying on other people, good people who are trying to bring you up, you might find things that you enjoy. Like, for example, I'm trying to go for a complete original Xbox collection because it's a console that's near and dear to me. And yeah, I was just grabbing, games, filler. But there's like subsets of collecting that you can learn from other people. Like, I know Nate really got into like getting like platinum hit variants, and there's variants of variants within platinum hits. So there's other ways you can learn to collect by just engaging with other people who are good-hearted and want to help. I think, yeah, the bad people do stand out. The negative stuff does stand out. But there's plenty of good people out there, and there's ways they collect differently that you might enjoy also. Like, I think it's fun to have 3 different copies of, whatever on the shelf, and they're all just slightly different. It's something unique. It's thinking outside the box. And finding different ways to collect like that can keep you re-engaged and refocused. It's something that kind of rejuvenated me for the original Xbox because it's a lot of games and it's not a huge library, but it's big enough where it can be daunting at times. But it's fun too to chase it down. Like, you get to a certain point where it feels like, oh, I've got, everything in this genre or every type of game here. Like, I'm running out of options. I know that was a big thing with comic books especially, and that's one of the reasons why grading got kicked off, because when you have a lot of everything, like, you just have to chase ghost and 0.2 digits at a time, I guess is what the old saying used to be.
I mean, I won't lie. I think Nate and I got very, very close to tumbling down into that comic grading.
We can share that because it's topical. I mean, it's migrating to video games now. Like, I think we all feel the same about graded video games, but I'm the only one that will probably remotely dabble in graded comics anymore. There's books I have that are 9/8 comics that I'm like, I'm happy to have them. I would be just as happy to have them raw, I honestly feel like.
Or the stipulation that, like, unless yours is a certified signature gold label, then it's a fake signature, so, like, and nobody would recognize it as real.
Signed America 117 is not genuine to some people because I don't have a gold border. I'm like, okay, I was there when he signed it. I met him. It was awesome. I'm never getting rid of this book anyway, so I don't care about your effing gold label. It is a giant dick showing contest.
Yeah, but now to get back to positivity, trying to circle around. But yeah,
go find positive people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's different ways to collect what I was trying to get at. So, like, don't feel like you have to. For example, with the original Xbox collection, like I was talking about, if graded your thing, more power to you. It's not for me.
Don't force it on us, though.
Yeah, exactly. But there's different subsects you can collect, right? Like going for the platinum hits or going for different genres. Like I'm saying, the fishing games. There's different ways you can collect, and then some of them might be fun to you. Like, I didn't think I would enjoy doing fishing games this much, but there's way more than I thought originally. I found a bunch of new games I didn't know about, found some good games.
What's super fun is, like, obviously me and Brian, big original Xbox guys. I'd say like 7-8 years ago, my white whale was Steel Battalion, because I was like, that's the rarest Xbox game. Like, then you start finding these subs, and you're like, the platinum hits for NBA Ballers is so ungodly rare. It's like, that's the most expensive game I've seen for original Xbox. I've only seen 2 for sale. I just found out recently that there's a platinum hits NBA Ballers. So I think it's very cool to find new information still about this hobby. And it's one of those hobbies where we're all comic people. We're pretty educated. There comes a point where you kind of know everything at some point. Video games, I feel like it's different. They're still finding out so much new stuff, and there's so many variants and region exclusives, and it's wonderful. And it should stay that way in your brain. It should never frustrate you. It shouldn't piss you off. It's fun. Like, me and Brian have like a running gag because he's got a copy of NFL Fever 2004 that has now with coupons on the front. So, like, we keep joking.
Now with coupons?
Yeah.
No, it contains valuable coupons.
Coupons on the. Okay. So it's like, I've never seen another one. I don't know if this is probably it's NFL Fever, so we're not saying you're talking about like it's a $500 game here, but like, it's this running gag where like my white whale is a NFL Fever 2004 now with valuable coupons, and it's something I subconsciously like will dig through some NFL Fevers to go see if there's one just like for the laugh, and it's something we found just kind of goofing around. And
so I'm still collecting original Xbox games, but now I'm going for subsects of them. And it's been a lot of fun, honestly. Like you say, you learn things, you find new games, and it doesn't have to be original Xbox. Like I said earlier, just get creative. There's ways out there. Like maybe it's like, hey, I'm going to walk into this game store. I'm going to find the cheapest game here that I don't own. I'm going to pick it up. and play it and see if it sucks or not. Just get creative and have fun with it, man. Like, from experience, when you start getting burned out, it's not because you don't love the hobby anymore. It's outside sources, and don't let those outside sources affect you. That's the biggest takeaway I can get from that.
I suppose with me, the market, I don't find subcategories to collect for. I know what I want my collection to look like. I know what I want to buy. I'm currently trying to get rid of the greatest hits labels for PS1 and PS2 just because I don't like how they look. I want all black labels. I don't want the reds and the greens. I just don't like how they look. That's on my own personal OCD. Some people are like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. I think it looks great." Unfortunately, I can't do the same with PlayStation 3 because it kind of got screwed on that one.
Yeah, they did.
You know what? But I just kind of don't look at it sometimes. Or like Xbox 360, I have one Platinum Hits game and it drives me nuts.
Player's choice on GameCube.
And I need to get rid of it. I don't have any.
Oh, that's good.
I don't
that
have
yellow,
any.
I don't know. I usually don't mind. And like, yeah, everybody's different. I like having an ugly shelf. I'm like, what the hell? But something about that yellow on that player's choice, man, just ugh.
Like, I got one red PSP game and it drives me nuts. So, and that's something that I'm kind of slowly going out. I have a little notes on my phone that's got the ones listed off. So if I'm ever out and about, I'm like, oh, that's one of my ones I think I need a black label for. Oh, sweet. Grab it real quick. End up selling.
Sell your greatest hits to me and Brian.
It's what I end up doing. So, and I always just am like, here's the price I just got the black label for, whatever. Here you go. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And then I stop. I do not buy anything that does not have a manual in an original box. That's just how, at one point in time, I was just buying anything and everything. I was one of those people that would just buy, and I would just go through purges. So I'm to the point where I have a couple that I need to clean up and get manuals for because I made those mistakes a while ago, but that's how I stopped spending money, and that's how I get a collection I want in the one go. Is like, I'll wait for a manual. I'm not going to buy a disc only and then try and find cases later. Flip side, though, is I have been starting to buy DS games. I've been looking at DS games with no game, but manual and case. Especially with handhelds, those are extremely hard to pick up. So I can find the carts all day, and if I find an opportunity to get the case and the manual and I can calculate my brain like, oh, it'll probably be cheaper to pick it up, whatever, I'll do that.
I think it's ingenious, honestly, especially with DS, because like, I feel like DS was like the last console where it was like, you know, the old NES days where it's like, this is trash, I don't need to hold this, and you'd throw the case and manual away. So
yeah, even then, like, people took them out the cases and then just put the case somewhere in their house, probably in their attic or whatever, and it got to a point where they're like, people want the game, they don't want the case, so they throw them away, and now we're in the market where it's like, oh, people want everything. Yeah, we want everything. Yeah. Stop throwing stuff away.
Think of how many GameStops, for shelf space reasons, took those DS carts out and just chucked the case and manual.
Yep.
Oh, I know.
A glass case, they can fit more with less shelf space. There's got to be like, there's one system that ever got messed with by GameStop more than it's got to be 3DS and DS, right? Like,
dude, I remember fishing Pokemon Gold, saving it out the trash because it was just the box and the manual, and they were like, we don't have space for this. I'm like, give me that.
yeah.
Psychos. So it's handhelds are some of my favorite, and they're very, very difficult. I'm running into the issue where I've got Game Boy Advance games that I have carts for that I don't have boxes and manuals for. A lot of them were from my childhood, and I was really stupid, and I kept all my boxes for like blue and yellow and emerald and crystal and everything inside of a Tupperware box. And then as a teenager in high school, I was like, why am I keeping these? This is really stupid. And I threw them away. And I'll bring that story up all the time, and I just cry about it inside when I think about it. So yeah, it's very, very slow going, but I have Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, and Super Nintendo, and that's it. I've got one NES game, but that's not a big deal. Trying to get complete in box, and whether or not I find a box and a manual alone for the price and it works, or I have to buy it complete in box and weigh, can I sell the cartridge to fix the cost?
I recently just did that myself.
So That's what I had to do with the Fire Emblem is I got a really good deal on it. And then I was like, this cartridge is worth $50. And I was about to sell it. And Brian was like, I want it. And I'm like, here, have it for $10. And that was still fine for me. Like I made a $40 loss, but that didn't matter to me in the way of like getting Brian the opportunity to have this.
Yeah, because I just wanted to play it. Like I've the Fire Emblem games, I'm actually caught up on GBA except for that one. So
there was only 2.
Exactly. I played the first one. I played the second one, so now I have it. Now we're gonna play it someday. So
I think it's a good tip though. So like I just bought Captain America on the NES very recently. I already had the cart, but I came across a box and it was about the same price as the cart. So Brian still has to look through his collections if he has one, but he can have the cart for what I paid for the cart, 10 years ago. Because I was like, hey man, it's surrounding yourself with positive people.
Right.
Like your friends will help you out. Barry's just helped me out get this Daikatana because I've got some stuff going on but Barry's like, nah man, I know you've been wanting this, I got you. And it's like,
you've done it for me.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
In for
positive people, man. Like they'll help you out. It's foolish not to have people to share your hobbies with, so if you can find friends that will go with you on a journey, please take them with you.
And if you can't find friends, you can be our friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For the record.
Yes. That's the one thing that we're all super positive people. We all love sharing this hobby. That's why we're doing this podcast. Like this literally birthed as these are conversations we have all the time. Let's share it with other people who are like-minded. But I want to touch back on piecing together cases and manuals because I think it's a good positive thing for 2 reasons. One, from a financial standpoint, if you have an expensive game, it's a good way to kind of break up the price if that's something that a preventative measure from you getting that game's financials only. It's a good way to get it, play it, and then you can kind of Frankenstein it together later at your own leisure.
I would be careful of that. I've said this to you before. It depends on the game.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of variables involved.
Especially if you don't own the game already in one form or the other, you're probably better off just saving to get a complete unbox.
Right.
Already.
I'm not saying go out there and do it for every single game, but it gives you some bit of flexibility. As well as if, Barry, I know you're pretty picky about condition.
I'm super picky.
Yeah. So it gives you the ability to be like, hey, I'm not going to just jump on the first box and manual I see. It gives you time to find the one that you actually want. So
yeah, like when you buy, feel good about what you buy.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Don't settle. Like I spent a lot of time waiting to find a box for Final Fantasy 3, and then I finally found one that I was happy with. I had to buy a manual for Chrono Trigger, and mine's not pristine by any means, but I got one in a condition that I am happy with for the price that I paid for it, and that's that. It's not perfect by any means, but it's also not missing a cover. So you kind of have to figure out where your standards are, and some standards may be lower depending on what it is, but you don't have to just buy everything out there. Placeholders, if you want to do placeholders, that's fine. I'm not a placeholder person, especially for people who are doing full sets. For example, if you want to get a full set of Nintendo, they're going to buy a single cartridge and then just stick it in the slot and be like, I'll upgrade later. If you want to do that, that's fine too.
Very early on, I found myself doing placeholders when I was kind of naive. I first seriously got back into collecting, and I was like, homie, I'm over here just spending money on stuff I already spent money on.
Well, then you got to touch it twice when you're like, I got to go resell this to make my money
to
up.
Buy your junk copy.
Yeah.
Honestly, personal experience, don't worry about placeholders. It's find one you like, be patient. We just touched on it earlier. Put you in a bad spot.
If a purchase doesn't make you feel good and you're not sure about it, don't do it.
Correct.
Yep. I'll third that.
Another way you can kind of chip away at stuff, I don't think lots are dead. We've still had some decent luck recently with some lots. I know Barry was looking for Game Boy Advance boxes on stuff. I think you were looking for Phantasy Star Game Boy Advance box.
Oh yeah, I bought a lot. I needed the Phantasy Star Universe, and that was it. And I got it with Pirates of the Caribbean and something else.
Something I needed.
It was two other games, and I was like, Nate, you want these?
Shinobi.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have the cart for Shinobi. I need that box. And
right.
She didn't get a great deal on her box, and I got boxes I wasn't even really expecting for an extremely great price.
I think I gave them to you for really, really.
It's ridiculous.
It was $5 or something.
So it's
I was pay for my shipping.
Yeah, done. So we're all happy, and it's another thing. Lots I have scored so many great things in my collection through the years, and lots.
Oh, absolutely.
I was the Sega guy. I went to a store, and there was a 32X box, so I was salivating. There was about 8 other boxes of consoles, just a box only for consoles. Guy was like, I don't really want to fuss with this. What's the price for all of them? I got those boxes for about $8 a piece.
Yeah, they were so cheap.
And
that was crazy.
One of them was an NES top loader box, which is not common anymore. So it's buying lots. You can find kind of discover something that you weren't even necessarily intentionally going for that can kind of light another fire.
Here's another thing about lots is like sometimes when people sell lots, they are not too knowledgeable about what's in the lot. They're just like, I have all this stuff, just trying to get it all rid of it at one time.
Yep.
Or it's just kind of hand-me-down lots where someone had bought a previous lot for one thing, was like, I'm getting rid of the rest of it. I don't want to split it up. It's too much work. If you can find something inside of that lot that is worth that total to you, or you're like, okay, this lot is $60 and I can't really find this game anywhere. I can get it for $40 and then maybe sell the rest of it for 20 and break even. You can do that easy. So I mean, like, don't be afraid of lots. You can find some really good stuff in there. Or if you've got friends, you can be like, hey man, I got this lot. Do you want anything in it? Oh, sweet. Here, take it, whatever. I'm in the whole $5. I don't care. Take it. So lots are great.
You touched on it. If you find something that's worth that price to you, then you have leverage to either make a trade, bring it somewhere, sell that off. It's never a bad thing to have trading chips.
That's true. There's been some times where I've gotten a hold of a lot where I know I wanted one thing and that's the only thing I cared about in that lot. And then something else in that lot ended up being like even more expensive. And I was like, I don't care. That's not what I want. That is, sell it to somebody for cheap so they can get a good deal and, dump the rest somewhere later. Like, I got my deal out of it. Somebody else got their deal out of it.
And you have another collector keeping an eye out on stuff for you because you hooked them up with it.
Right.
And then, that's how I got that 32 Xbox. Like, there's a guy locally that has a store. He's like, hey, I know you're into this stuff. I'm not trying to mess with it. Then he's like, hey, you got more games? We went back there and found some. You found some stuff. I found some stuff. It was an awesome day. Yeah,
if you have someone locally or your friend that you can do a circuit, you live somewhere where you can hit some stores and just spend some time together and hang out. And even, I think you touched on it earlier, Nate, but like, find someone to go hang out with that'll walk around the stores with you and look at stuff. Sometimes they'll find stuff, sometimes they'll bust out with nothing and waste your gas, but like, it's still a fun time. Hung out with your friend, you got food, had great conversations, whatever.
I'll say this for me personally, the hunt and hanging out with your friends is part of what keeps me going on this. I mean, I know some people just want the item and they just buy it online, but for me, like, part of the experience is going out and finding it. Or I seldom buy games online. The thing that fuels me is like that next dopamine hit of seeing it out in the wild and sharing that moment with my friends,
Yeah, there are people out there who make fun of people for talking about the wild and
avoid them.
You're wasting your time going out there hunting. I don't really care. It's my time and it's my value.
Right.
Okay, if you value that time, then that's what the worth is to you.
There's still deals out there. Yeah, they may not be as prevalent, and you're not going to find Chrono Trigger for $20. But recently, I'm not going to say it's a banger of a deal, but I found that $20 Alien Atari game I've been looking for forever for 99 cents, like at a game store. Deals are still out there, guys. Like Nate's touched on earlier. Don't get discouraged. You're not finding it every time you go out, but it's that dopamine hit you need to keep going sometimes when you do find it. Like, it kind of jumped me back into it, getting that NES box lot with that Alien for Atari, a game I've been actively looking for. Just be patient, be, humble, keep your eyes open, don't get discouraged. It's that simple. Again, It was a lot. There's all of our tips in one, damn near.
Take some trips. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it right now. As far as it goes, gas is expensive and people are disgusting out there. So I've been kind of holding off on the long road trips, which we've done them before. Like, we'll go an hour or two out for a different city and just kind of hang out and run around there and see what they got. So if it comes to a point where you're comfortable with doing that, like, it gets you out of the house, look at a new environment, hang out with somebody or significant other all day and just look for fun stuff. Or, if you don't want to do that, you can scroll on eBay or Mercari all you want to. That's fine too. I don't have the work schedule to go garage sale hunting, but garage sale hunting's fun. Mm-hmm. Try it out.
Recently, our friend got a hell of a deal at a garage sale, like, still exists.
Yeah.
Like, don't get discouraged by people saying that the wild doesn't exist. The wild does exist. It may not be as prevalent, much like the real wild with nature and animals and everything, but it's still out there.
Look, all right, here's the thing though. If you out in the wild, you hunting games for your own collection, whatever, and you find a game that you're like, hey, I don't really collect this, but I know it's worth something and this is super cheap, you can buy that game that's worth $100 for $20. Then you can stick it up online for $80. And now you've taken that item out of the physical world and put it up on a market for a collector who's looking for it, who maybe they want a social distance. They don't want to go out to stores and look for anything. And that's what they're doing now, is they're trying to find this stuff online because they don't want to visit places. Or maybe they're physically incapable of going to places. Or maybe they live in the boonies. Or maybe they're just that rich dude that doesn't care. I don't know. But like, I don't know. People who do that, like, they're not scalpers. I'm sorry.
No, anymore. There's so many people in quotations scalping. Like, you can't call everyone that resells something a scalper.
Yeah, stop doing that.
There's a huge difference between a scalper and a reseller. I'll say that.
I'm not gonna. You all can flame me. I don't care if I find a game that's $100 for $3-4. Like, yeah, I've put it on eBay. I'll do it.
Yep.
You don't have to buy it. I don't mean to get so defensive.
Well, I mean, I think, in my personal opinion, I'm not doing that with new stuff out on shelves.
No,
right. That's the difference. Yep.
That's scalping, is when you're buying all of the supply that's available currently and holding it hostage. If you find something old out of print that someone was slipping on, that's a whole other topic.
I'll second that. Yeah, scalping is literally...
If you're using bots to buy all the stock...
Shoes.
Or if, Nintendo decides to put out an exclusive collector's edition for a game and you and your two friends wait for 12 hours to buy it and you can't.
Look, okay. I am a big fan of Xenoblade Chronicles. Here's the story. I hate you, Nintendo. We're going to put out Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Special Edition only on Nintendo Store exclusive. Okay, cool. On the website it says, and everybody who's listening to this probably already knows the damn story, but like I get so heated about it. They're like, oh, check the Twitter for official updates on when it's going to go live. So we get a tweet that's like, hey, it's going to go live tomorrow at 11 a.m. I got class. I'm in school. Like, I'm in my college course in the middle of this. I got my phone out on the desk. I'm like, I'm hoping my professor just leaves me alone because I'm sitting in the front row trying to learn. But I'm like, I need to get this also because, like, I have the first two. I need the third one. I got it. Like, I got to have it. At the same time, I don't have to have it. But there are things that, like, I will pre-order out the gate because I know what's going to happen to them when they're done. So that was one for me. I'm like, I need to order this out the gate. Like, I want to sit in that line. Like, I'm trying to get there first thing. Dude, so many people on there crashed their website. Like, horribly crashed. I'm sitting here trying to put it in my cart, and it's like, one's in your cart. And then I go to my cart, and it says there's nothing in my cart. And I'm like, Nate and Brian, can you, like, try and hop in here? And this is how it used to be with Pops. Like, when they would announce exclusive on Pops, like, you'd be sitting on the computer for hours in a queue. Mm-hmm. And there used to be no queue system because people weren't used to this, like, influx of online sales. So you'd be sitting in a queue for hours waiting for your turn to be able to buy something, hoping and praying that there was still stock. So all three of us are just sitting in a queue, like, hoping maybe one of us can get one.
I didn't even get one in a cart, and I had 3 browsers open. I had my work phone, my personal phone, and my Surface tablet.
Like, I got this website, like, on my, like, hotbar key thing on my phone so I could instantaneously, like, get to it at a moment's notice. And I sat from, I think it was at 10, I think it was 11 or 11:30 because I was already in the class. I sat on there all the way until about 11 o'clock at night before I gave up.
Yeah, same.
I was just like, I can't do this. And then Twitter was on fire. They're basically, like, shutting the website down. It's like, it's down for maintenance. Like, they just couldn't handle it. I'm like, you are Nintendo. Get out of here.
Right.
So anyways, somehow people got through a loophole. Twitter's screaming, oh, you guys are letting all the bots and the scalpers through. And I'm like, can y'all just shut up? Like, you guys just want the special edition. We're all on here trying to get it. Like, be quiet. Somehow some people got through and was like, hey, I was able to use this weird backwards turnaround before they locked us out. I was able to order one. Then you got a group of people who are instantly doing that and putting it up on eBay and it's selling for $600. And I'm like, you are the kind of people that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, the people who spent $600 on it, you're part of the problem too.
Yep. People wouldn't post it for that much if people aren't buying it.
I mean, I can't really, like...
I don't tell people to spend their money, but, like, bro.
Here's the thing, though. Nintendo was the source of the problem.
Agree.
Yeah.
So,
the main culprit here.
To be honest, like, they got their money, but if someone is willing to be like, I don't really care, $600 is chump change, I can get it. Like, to us, yeah, you're part of the problem, but, like, people that make more money than that who don't care, like, they just don't care. They'll just buy it, which is fine. They have the finances to do it.
Yeah, I'm not going to negatively judge somebody because they're doing better in life.
No, it's not that. At the same time, you can examine that game. The collector's editions for that game have gone up to around $600 and such. It's not
I don't know if they're still at 600. That was an arbitrary number. It was 3, 4, 5, something like that.
Was it too, like, very expensive?
Two's
No,
like
two is
350.
skyrocketing.
That's what I'm saying. So like,
I mean, 3 when those like confirm pre-order,
sure,
whatever. That's
I'm
what I
just
mean.
saying. I just opened this episode up talking about forecasting. Maybe $600 isn't a crazy price to pay for this thing. Maybe in 7 years, this game is $1,000 collector's edition.
Well, and here's the thing: you have to think. You do have to think about that.
Yeah.
Like this was a Nintendo Store exclusive. This is the only way you could buy it. The Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Collector's Edition. I got mine in GameStop. I walked in there and was like, I want that, and I picked it up retail. And I'm like, I never opened it until recently because I was like, why do I have this sealed? I want to look at the art book. So I just ripped it open and was like, this is cool, and put it back on the shelf. But like, I got it for, I don't know, $90 when it came out. I bought it new just because I was interested in it and I could buy it retail. So to me, having a Nintendo Store exclusive kind of does change the factor.
Absolutely.
It's part of playing the casino, right? But again, be happy with your purchase. If you're sitting here thinking 600 is too much, it's not worth it in the future, don't do it. If you think it's fine, do it.
That's you have to weigh that. I think that that is something that is frustrating, that like you do want these things and you have to accept the fact that like I'm probably not going to get one. To be honest, like I'm not going to be able to complete the set. I'm not spending no $600 on that. That's ridiculous. I just don't have the money for it. Somebody else can do that. Maybe I'll get one in the future. I don't know. But like to me, Nintendo, you are the problem.
Yep.
You're about to have a quote unquote Nintendo Direct about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and we're gonna watch all this gameplay and you're trying to push this game so hard, but you're not gonna make more of these available. Like, do you know what money? Why don't you know what money?
It's weird because I feel like Nintendo more than any other the major companies. Because I remember with the NES Mini, they hyped up how scarce, or what was the Mario trilogy remasters? Do you remember how?
Oh yeah, how they
why
were
does Nintendo do this, man?
They were gonna drop them and then stop printing them and
now
take them
there's
off the
literally
store.
15,000
and there was a billion of
stacks
them
at Target.
Yeah.
Why does Nintendo do this?
Nintendo are gatekeepers.
Yeah, man.
Look, I enjoy Nintendo and the games they put out and the consoles that they've got, but like,
They're frustrating.
yeah, they're frustrating.
They create
I have to accept it.
their own ecosystem.
Yeah.
When even their new games don't get discounted, and if they're on sale, they're on sale for $4 off.
Man, they are still. You can go into a Walmart and still see 3DS games for full price in there.
I've seen Wii U games at full price. It's crazy.
Well, shit, you might as well pick them up because they might be worth more than that.
Yeah. I remember for a while there, the local Walmart, 86 in Michigan, but like they had, what was the Fire Emblem game that wasn't a true Fire Emblem game? The
Warriors?
FE Tokyo, whatever.
Oh, Tokyo Mirage.
Yeah, Tokyo Mirage. They had tons of Tokyo Mirages there.
For the Wii U?
Yep.
Which is really funny because, like, I was listening to a
Talking like 2 years ago.
I was listening to a podcast recently about it. I like to listen to old episodes sometimes, and they were like, oh, Tokyo Mirage, you better pick it up because I think it's going to be a low print run. It's going to be good, but, like, it's going to fly under the radar. And, like, it's funny because that's what I thought at the time because I was into Fire Emblem and Shin Megami. So I'm like, I want this game. I got the collector's edition. And it ain't worth nothing right now because they put FE Sessions out on Switch. So, like, whatever. But, like, I was happy with it at the time.
And that's what matters. I love
mean,
that game also. So
and then, you know what? Maybe someday they're going to re-release Fire Emblem Fates with the downloadable extra thing that you can only get in the special edition that's now $600. It's absolutely ridiculous. Maybe they'll put that on the Switch.
If you're just sitting there constantly worrying about the financial side of it, I mean, that you collect how you want. But I think it's probably more wise to just go with your gut, go with what you can realistically afford, what you're comfortable with, instead of worrying about the monetary aspect. And I get some people out there are going to collect purely for monetization purposes. You do you, man. That's the biggest thing. And if that's not your cup of tea at all, don't think about it. Don't stress about it. Don't worry about it. I think it's interesting. Like me personally, it's cool. Like when I have a game, it's like, oh, this is worth money now, but like I'm never going to sell my shit anyway. So I don't care in the long run. It's just another interesting facet to me, I guess.
I do want to bring this up before we run out of time, but what advice would you guys have to new collectors? I don't think we've touched on that very much. Someone who is probably like when we started collecting at our age, when you're getting into it now, like what do they have to deal with now in this day and age?
My first advice, as soon as possible, find out what type of collector you're going to be. I think it's okay to be flexible and change your mind on stuff. I've done it many times. I speak very often when we're doing, is it worth it? Well, I'm still doing in the middle because I am constantly kind of going back and forth. But be okay with that too. I mean, I'm not going to own every game ever made. I've accepted this a long time ago. If I happen to have a life-changing event where that was possible, I'd be very happy to own every game ever made, but I don't expect to. I think it's very easy to get intimidated with the current climate. Don't be intimidated by it. Find stuff that makes you happy. I think we've touched on it multiple times already. If it doesn't feel right, run. So if you're getting into this and you walk into your used game store and go, reconsider why you're actually buying collecting. Now, if you're like going to go find something to make you happy, great. Like, I don't care if you're in there just to buy old copies of Madden. Like, dude, as long as you're happy doing it, go for it. And then share it with us, because we would like to hear about it. I would love to see your entire Madden library. I think it's cool.
Show me your entire library of Call of Duty.
I think it's awesome.
Everybody was like, why are you doing that? I'll look at it.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
I was going to segue into that. Approach the positive. We talked about it already, but like, don't pay credence to them. It's not worth your time. End of the day, you're into this hobby for your reason and your reason only. The world's so much more open than it was when I first started getting into this. Be who you are, enjoy what you enjoy, and share it with others. Like, the good people out there that you want to engage this hobby with, they will enjoy it with you. Please share your experiences with us. Like, we'd love to help you guys with that, especially new people. Like, I enjoy sort of the mentoring ship. I like passing on my knowledge and what I've learned, my mistakes, my positives. So share with us, guys, honestly.
There's so many avenues to communicate with other collectors, other people hunting in different areas. I have made one trade online with an AEW action figure with another guy. I've made a person that's out west coast looking for AEW figures that we haven't got to our area yet. And he's like, how the hell do you have that one? I'm like, dude, they're everywhere. They're warming the pegs over here. So like, people want to help other people, I think, at heart, especially if you're trying to nourish a new collector. Like, and just don't be afraid to ask in a video, hey, if you're looking for a title you really want that you think of the financial means to get, ask. I've seen people on like hunting threads, like, I'm hunting for this game. And so I'm like, look, I have one. Like, this is what I'm looking for. Like, maybe we can work out a trade. I've seen like live in action, people work out trades. It's really cool.
Yeah, so you can find all kinds of groups. I would try, before you fall into just trading back and forth, maybe just find a group where that's pretty established.
Yeah, definitely.
And they know
Be smart about it.
who everyone is, and can like I want to buy something from this guy. Can anybody vouch for him? And like, people will come out and be like, yeah, I bought from him. Shipping was good. Like, if you're inside of a community, see what the community thinks of that person too, because there are some out there that will screw you. So
it's always vultures.
There's tons of them out there.
I want to ask you guys this question also. Unless maybe it's a move on thing, so if we don't have anything else, hang on.
New collectors, anything else?
Anybody else got something new collectors?
New collectors, understand that we were in your shoes just X amount of years ago. Mm-hmm. Or a big reason my collection is from my childhood.
Yep.
Majority of it, especially majority of the expensive things, is because I just liked them when I bought them, and now they're expensive. So now your childhood might be the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, new gen era, because I don't know, that's what you're growing up with. Like, buy what you want to buy, and then, you know what, maybe in the future it'll be worth something, maybe it's not, but like, those are the memories that you have. And as you get older, you can go, I know I'm talking for people who probably don't even have a driver's license yet. Like, I'm talking like young people, okay? You don't even got jobs and you can't drive nowhere and you're still thinking about collecting. When you're older and you get those jobs, you can start dipping back a bit further. Like, I didn't grow up on Nintendo. Barely grew up on Super Nintendo, but there are definitely titles in there that I want to pick up. But I obviously didn't have a childhood at that time to have those games. So, I don't know. Don't feel like you have to start at the beginning, because you don't.
No. If that's your jam, PS4, Xbox One era, now's the time to kind of buy those. Those are the only games right now that are semi-cheap.
Right.
And mass chunks of the library are affordable. It's like damn near the only console generation right now that's even feasible.
There's some fun games on there too, honestly.
There's all-time classics on those.
YouTube is a great source, but it is also a double-edged sword.
Don't fall into the traps. Like Barry said it earlier, but I'll double down. They start giving you a bad vibe, it's really okay to not watch their videos anymore. Don't feel like you have to.
Yeah, just stop listening to it. I think this podcast, I was like 2 or 3 episodes in, and then I got to one and I said, nope. And I just completely stopped. I was like, I don't care how informational or historical or anything you're talking. I was like, this is not even not vibing with this.
I think that's the biggest thing, though, is don't be discouraged by how long some of us other people are doing it, especially as a new collector. Yeah, just because I'm older and you and I have more stuff doesn't mean that your collection sucks. You know what I mean? We all started somewhere, like you said earlier. So as a conclusion, I kind of want to get you guys' thoughts on what the future holds I know this could probably be a whole episode of itself, but do you think the bubble's going to burst? Do you think the future holds more positive than negative, more negative than positive? Nate, what do you think?
I'm always an optimist, man. So I'm always going to choose best case scenario. I think there's always a correction in every market. I think we've already seen small glimpses with this impending recession of prices kind of creeping down a little bit. I believe in people wanting to help other people more than not. I think eventually we'll go back to video game collecting as video game collecting and not monetary collecting. I truly believe that. I think you have your built-in ones that are always going to stay expensive, but everything's got exceptions in life in this world. So I'm definitely choosing optimism. I choose positivity, bruh. So
I think the future's what you make it. I don't want to say I'm the Eeyore of the group, but the people I do associate with, and I know they're the good people, those are the people I put my hope and dreams in. I just know how the rest of the world is. I don't think it's going to get worse. I can say that. I think there's always light at the end of the tunnel. It shouldn't be negative at all. You stay realistic with the way the world is, and you stay realistic with yourself and your collecting habits. There's no reason on earth why it's not going to get better. I don't see why the future has to be doomy and gloomy. Like, we're going to bounce back from this. I've seen it with comics in the 90s. I've seen it with, 80s action figures. It's gotten a little better. I've seen it with video games. Like you said, Nate, there's plenty of examples of certain games that have dropped back down to more realistic. But going back to rule number one, is patience. Just be patient.
One thing I did want to touch on real quick, if we've got enough time.
We've got time.
If it feels stale, I don't know. You know how sometimes when you feel stale at home, you rearrange your room, like rearrange your bedroom, and you're like, all right, this is fresh and this is new. Rearrange your collection. I don't know. Rotate them up on the shelves, or
I just did it recently.
The way I've got it is like I don't have them. I have them alphabetically. It makes my brain hurt if I can't. They have to be alphabetical, but I don't have them by alphabetical by console. I don't have them by this console came out during this time. I just have it on my shelf how I like looking at it. Or if you've got a lot of stuff and be like, hey, I need some help with this, get a friend who's willing to help you.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
I just like looking at your guys' stuff. I won't go
lie. I think it's a really good point too, Barry, because like I'm at the point right now where I don't have my collection displayed the way I wanted. And going through finding some stuff for this podcast, it is rejuvenating. Like, I forgot I had this. I didn't know I had this. This is awesome. It gets you back into it. It's a good point.
I think you can apply the same topic. It's just rearranging your collection, like physically, to like how you're collecting. So there was a hardcore moment where I was focusing on Genesis pretty exclusively. Genesis stuff started getting expensive because you used to be able to find it was the same price as Complete as Cart basically in our area. That changed. It burnt me a little bit. I got a little bitter, but I was like, no, I'm going to find something else to kind of fill in while I'm waiting for Genesis to kind of regulate itself. I've been picking up PS4 games a lot lately, and it's okay to kind of shift what you're looking for until it kind of fixes itself. And you can follow different trends of chase stuff and be fine. Like PS4, Xbox One's the time to buy right now. Don't be afraid of there's a deal in front of you. Figure out how you can make it work. We've all done it.
If you can comfortably make it work, make it work. I will say, I don't mean to cut you off, but we all three know of a person in our lives who does not make very good financial situations for himself and would constantly buy action figures with money he did not have. And then literally the day before his bills were due, he'd have to go to the local store and sell them for cash. And then he would come back and rebuy the same figures over and over and over. He just couldn't regulate his finances. So, like, do not sacrifice your bills and things you need to pay for.
Hell no.
Yeah, you can't live in that Daikatana box. You can live in a house, though.
Yes.
So, like, yeah, like, you can't have a collection if you don't have somewhere to live.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Be smart about it.
Absolutely. Don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Don't chew off more than you can.
For a quick hit of dopamine.
Don't bite off more than you can chew? That's what I meant. And you know what? You might have to pass up on some good deals here and there, but like...
I've had to do it. It's part
of
it.
I had to do it.
We all have several examples where it's like, damn, we'll sit there and joke about it sometimes. Like, remember that time?
Like, can I buy this or do I have to need an adult? I'm like, I better wait. If it's still here in X amount of time, I'm going to come get it.
I think that about wraps up this conversation. But honestly, we'd love to hear from you guys. What are some of you guys' tips, tricks to avoid getting out of this? What do you guys do to stay focused? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, if you got collections or you got recent pickups, send us pictures.
Get a hold of us, guys. Let us know on all of our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It's at Collecti-Bros Pod. And appreciate you guys listening. Nate, what's next in the pipe? Or Barry? Is it Barry or Nate? Barry, what's up next for the Collecti-Bros Podcast?
Next episode is an Is It Worth It episode. And we're going to talk about one of my favorite series of all time, Fire Emblem. It's going to be Fire Emblem Path of Radiance on the GameCube.
I'm excited. This is my first console Fire Emblem.
It is the first console Fire Emblem in the U.S., well, North America. So it is kind of a big deal in the Fire Emblem world. So we're going to talk about, is it worth the price? I've already played it, and then I think this is your guys' first time.
Yeah.
It's my first Fire Emblem game.
Ooh, yeah, that's true, because Brian played it on the Game Boy. Okay.
I've owned this
And I
game.
played the NES one on Switch.
I'm sorry, this is your first one. There were probably better ones to start you off with.
This is the first one I've ever bought, so I'm excited to play it.
Okay, that's
I'm
fair.
excited.
But yeah, Fire Emblem on the GameCube. Super excited to talk about this one.
Thanks for hanging with us, guys.
Yeah, send me pictures. All right, somebody send me a picture that they have more copies of Halo Combat Evolved for the Xbox, not the Master Chief Collection, or the 360 remake.
Or the PC version.
You know what? PC version can count.
Halo
I don't
2,
have
I've got a couple Halo
Oh my
2.
god.
I've got
How many? You have 4, 5?
4 of the original Halo.
5 Halo 2s.
5? All right, somebody send me a picture of your collection. I want to see more than 5 copies of Halo Combat Evolved or Halo 2 in one picture. And you can't be standing in a store. Don't do that. That's cheating.
Say, make that Assassin's Creed 3 and I got you.
Keep going. It's so
That's
long.
so long. Speaking of Halo, guys, marry, kill, fuck, Halo aliens, go Nate.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna marry a hunter. Big, protecting. You can take care of business with one. I feel like there's nothing in life that'd be an obstacle if you had a hunter as a companion for the rest of your life.
Hunter's best boy.
Yeah. I think a knight, a wild knight with an elite would be pretty crazy. The mouth and
What?
yeah. So as far as kill, like I'm going flood because there's no fuck the flood. They're icky.
That sucked though.
They pop your head up, pop, then you turn into one of them, then you in a perpetual state of sucking, boy.
I can't. I can't.
Hive mind side.
Oh my god.
Barry.
All right, I'm marrying the other hunter. So now we're actually going to be in-laws.
Yeah, bro.
Bet.
Sweet.
They're twins, Brian. You can't have any more.
Damn.
We stole them. I ain't sharing. Get out of here.
What?
Marrying the hunter. I'm gonna fuck a forerunner.
Oh, whoa.
It's definitely the we of Halo enemies.
Those are little robots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Try it. I don't know. Maybe they got some utilities.
Yeah.
They got some
lasers.
options. That's my answer for all of the fucks is utilities and options.
They're the we of the Halo enemies.
Everything is the we of.
Yep.
And killing the flood. That's a non-discussion. Don't even need to explain it.
Brian, who are you finishing the fight with?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably marry an elite. Like, they're around. There's some of them that have more prestige than others, you know.
You know what? I'm surprised
Guards.
nobody said the Arbiter specifically.
So I'm saying there's options for the elite. So I'll take like a, one with a plasma sword,
Boy's got a high body count. It's like 10,000.
What? Fucking a grunt. Just gonna say it. Birthday party hat. Fucking
Demon!
yeah, man. Could double grenade it up.
Sticky grenades.
Yep,
It'll blow your mind.
that's right. Pop them and get confetti. Yay! Killing again. Going back to the cryptoids. I don't like apes. Sea of brutes. Space apes. The segment's always.
That's next time for Halo vehicles.